Chapter 1028. Just as she had expected, Cheng Juanhao had something to do with this incident. There was indeed a mole in Cheng Juanhao's company. However, Cheng Fenglang did not manage to enter the company and become a senior executive, so he could only contact a limited number of senior executives. The mole he found was just a team leader of a department in the company. He could not get in touch with the core of the company, and it was impossible for him to fabricate a series of false evidence to implicate Cheng Juanhao's company like in her previous life. What really surprised Su Yiyan and the others was that Cheng Juanhao was not the only person behind this. There was another person, an old acquaintance. Song Yunyuan? How could it be her? When everyone heard Su Yiyan's words, they suddenly looked up. Yan, do you know her? Su Yiyan subconsciously turned to look at Hua Chenhuan. Hua Chenhuan was also surprised to hear this name. He was silent for a while before he said in a deep voice, "She is the daughter of the Song family." The Song family? Which Song family? Su Yiyan knew that he was embarrassed to say it, so he snorted and explained on his behalf. What Song family? Just say that she used to be your suitor. What? When the elders present heard this, their eyes swept over Hua Chenhuan like searchlights. It was as if they wanted to poke him into a sieve on the spot. Hua Chenhuan felt a lot of pressure under the stares of the elders. He braced himself and said, "She used to be my suitor. I don't like her, and I've never been nice to her. Yan can testify to this." Cheng Xiuqin raised his eyebrows and looked at his daughter. Really? Really? She pestered Chenhuan before the incident with his family and wanted to marry him. Later, Chenhuan's legs had problems, and something happened to his family Hua. She ran away faster than anyone else and moved the whole family abroad. Su Yuxuan narrowed her eyes and instantly caught the loophole in her sister's words. "Since you pestered him before the accident, and you didn't know him at that time, how did you know this?" This. Su Yiyan turned her head and cast a helpless look at her man. Hua Chenhuan sighed and said truthfully, "This woman came back a year ago. When Yan was pregnant, she posted some specious things to sow discord between us." As soon as Hua Chenhuan said this, everyone's expression changed again. It hadn't been long since Hua Chenhuan's legs had recovered, but this Miss Song had run away faster than a rabbit when he was in trouble. She had even moved her whole family overseas. It was obvious that she didn't plan to come back unless it was necessary. However, the truth was that she had come back a year ago after Hua Chenhuan's legs had recovered. She had even secretly schemed against the pregnant woman and stirred up trouble when she was emotionally unstable to sow discord between them. It could be said that Miss Song's intentions were clear to everyone. "Why haven't I heard you mention this before?" Su Yiyan touched her nose guiltily. "It's not a big deal. I didn't take it to heart at that time. After Chenhuan found out, he immediately dealt with her, so I didn't mention it." "Dealt with her? How did you deal with her?" "I asked someone to find out where she lived. I directly had someone tie her up, put her on a plane, and sent her abroad." As soon as Hua Chenhuan said this, the way they looked at him changed again. They were no longer as cold as before. Instead, there was a hint of complexity in their eyes. It seemed that they didn't expect Hua Chenhuan to do this. Tying her up on a plane and sending her back was simply too violent. However, when they thought about how this person had tried to destroy Su Yiyan's family, they couldn't help but say, "Well done." Chapter 1029. When Hua Chenhuan saw that their expressions had calmed down a little, she knew that she had escaped a disaster. She breathed a sigh of relief without a trace. When she turned her head, she met Su Yiyan's half-smiling eyes. She felt helpless and amused at the same time. "When I sent her abroad, I asked someone to pass her a message. She didn't remember it at all and still dared to come back." When Su Yuxuan heard Hua Chenhuan's words, she snorted coldly. "She's shameless enough to come back and beg for forgiveness. What else is there that she doesn't dare to do? However, there's something that I need to tell you guys so that you can be mentally prepared." Su Yiyan and Hua Chenhuan looked at each other and asked in confusion, "What is it?" "According to our investigation, the reason why Miss Song was able to return to the country and get involved in this matter was because she borrowed the connections of one of her relatives." "Relative?" Hua Chenhuan's expression changed slightly. Could it be? When Su Yiyan heard this, she knew that he must know something. She looked at him questioningly. Hua Chenhuan didn't hide it. "It should be Aunt Song." "Aunt Song?" Su Yiyen was shocked. Although Aunt Song's surname was also Song, she had never thought that she would have any relationship with Miss Song. She's a relative of Miss Song? Yes. But they are not related by blood. Hua Chenhuan paused and said thoughtfully, the Song family has always been powerful. Just like the reason why Song Yunyuan had taken a fancy to Hua Chenhuan, other than his looks, was mainly because he was the young master of the family Hua and the future heir. She wanted to use the marriage with the family Hua to soar into the sky. Aunt Song's father insisted on marrying an ordinary girl, so he broke off contact with the Song family. When Song Yunyuan pestered me, my parents and Aunt Song had not contacted each other for a long time. But I don't know where they found out that Auntie Song knew my parents, so they went to Auntie Song's house to harass her. They asked her to contact my mother and put in a good word for Song Yunyuan so that she could marry me. Su Yiyen was shocked. She didn't expect there to be such a story behind it. Then Aunt Song. How could Aunt Song not know what kind of people in the Song family? Not only she didn't say anything good about Song Yunyuan to my mother, but she also told my mother everything about her relationship with the Song family. Then, she moved out with Uncle Luo. Su Yayan could not help but laugh out loud when she heard that. Is the Song family a scourge? They actually forced Auntie Song to move. When Hua Chenhuan saw her smile, he could not help but smile a little more. Isn't he a scourge? When she doesn't need you, she doesn't even look at you. But when she needs you, she immediately pesters you. She's scarier than a vampire. Aunt Song can't be provoked, but can't she avoid her? What happened after that? What else can happen after that? My parents originally had a good impression of Song Yunyuan. They didn't like her that much. They just felt that it was strange for a girl to take the initiative to pursue me. At that time, I had already told my parents that I didn't like her. Their family made such a scene, so my parents gave up on any thoughts they had. Su Yiyen and the others sighed when they heard this. This was considered a double loss, right? Chapter 10:30. Then how could she use Auntie Song's connections to do these things? Hua Chenhuan narrowed her eyes and sneered. I think it's possible that she's behind Auntie Song's back. Auntie Song might not know. But whether she knows or not, we still have to inform her about this. Su Yiyen didn't have any objections to this. She had a good impression of Luo Baoging and his wife, and knew that their family didn't have a good relationship with Song Yunyuan's family. She also felt that it was more likely that they didn't know about this. Su Yuxuan heard the gist of it from the side, and said with anger and amusement, after all this time, these two people behind the scenes, one is your rotten peach blossom, and the other is your husband's rotten peach blossom. These two rotten peach blossoms are still together? Are they trying to break you up and then divide the spoils? Hua Chenhuan and Su Yiyen. What do you mean by dividing the spoils? Not only the two parties involved, but everyone else was also shocked by his words. The room suddenly became quiet, and then someone couldn't help but laugh. The others finally reacted and laughed one by one. Su Yiyen and Su Yiyen looked at each other helplessly, but they couldn't refute. That night, Hua Chenhuan took the initiative to call Luo Baoging and his wife and told them about this matter. After hearing the whole story, the two were really surprised, especially Song Linghua, who was really angry. I knew that she wouldn't come back for anything good this time. Song Yunyuan's return to the country had been on her side. Although Song Linghua didn't like this family, she was still an elder. If she was too calculative with the younger generation, people would think that she was petty. Therefore, she didn't care too much about Song Yunyuan's return. As long as she didn't cause any trouble for her, she would turn a blind eye and pretend that she didn't have this strange relative. Who would have thought that even though she wanted to ignore this junior actually did all he could to harm her family behind her back. He even almost caused her and her husband to lose their chastity in their later years. Huan. Little Su. This is indeed our negligence. I didn't expect. Su Yiyen could hear the guilt in Song Linghua's words. I know. I know you and Director Luo's character. Otherwise, I wouldn't have called you as soon as I found out about this. I just wanted to let you know the whole story and avoid any unnecessary misunderstandings in the future. That's true. Song Linghua couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. A few days ago, he had just put down his pride and asked Su Yiyen to treat the Li family's granddaughter. How long had it been since then? His own relative had backstabbed Su Yiyen's mother's family. When Song Linghua and his wife thought of this, they felt ashamed. They said apologetically, although I didn't know about this, she did it under our name. We have let you and your grandfather's family down. Auntie Song, please don't say that. That's one thing. Since this matter has nothing to do with you, every injustice has its perpetrator and every debt has its debtor. How can I let you take the blame for others? I'm calling you today mainly because I want to understand the specific situation. Everyone knows what's going on. Secondly, I also wanted to ask why she did such a thing. UN Director Luo. Chapter 1031. When Song Linghua said this, it could be considered as a clear statement of her position. Su Yiyan let out a long sigh and smiled faintly. Since Auntie Song has said so, I'm relieved. She simply expressed her position on this matter. Song Linghua hesitated for a moment, but she couldn't help but ask, now that this matter has become like this, Su Yiyan knew what she wanted to ask, so she didn't hide it. This matter isn't a big deal. But it's not a small one either. Maliciously forging evidence to slander my uncle's company for tax evasion is not a big deal. Bribing dangerous people who stole confidential information to slander the elders is not a small crime. To put it bluntly, someone had to investigate this matter. If they didn't investigate, it would be a case of a false report. However, if they really investigated, there would be evidence. In serious terms, they could even treat Song Yunyuan and Song Linghua as spies who deliberately came back from abroad to cause social unrest. Su Yiyan had specially called to inform her in advance. Naturally, she couldn't just let the matter rest. Even if Song Yunyuan could survive, she probably wouldn't be able to leave that cage for the rest of her life. Song Linghua was silent for a long time before she exhaled faintly. Forget it. People have to pay the price for their greed. Since I've made my choice, it has nothing to do with others. The corners of Su Yiyan's lips curled up slightly, and she kindly reminded Song Linghua, Auntie Song is very righteous, but some people might not be. Song Yunyuan is in trouble in China. Her family. I'm afraid they will find trouble with you. You and Director Luo have to be mentally prepared. Some people are shameless and don't care whether you are relatives or not. They are even fiercer than enemies. When Song Linghua heard Su Yiyan's words, her face sank. She probably remembered this family's strange actions back then. So be it. Do you think I'm afraid of them? It just so happens that I still have some debts to settle with them. I'll take this opportunity to settle them properly. Otherwise, when they all die abroad in the future, these things will become a mess and have to be settled underground. It's good that you know what to do. Cheng Juanhao and the others acted quickly. Song Yunyuan and Cheng Fenglang were quickly subdued. When the two of them were arrested, they were still in a hotel, secretly plotting how to convict the Cheng family so that Su Yiyan would have no one to rely on. When they rushed in, the smiles on their faces froze on their faces before they even had time to restrain themselves. Cheng Fenglong's parents had been busy living apart and getting a divorce. After learning that their son had been arrested because of the Cheng family's matter, they had come to his house a few times to make trouble. Fortunately, Cheng Juanhao was prepared for this. No matter how Cheng Fenglong's parents cried, made a fuss, and threatened to hang themselves, he did not allow them to enter the house and took them away. Not long after, he heard that Cheng Fenglong's talkative mother had suddenly been diagnosed with liver cancer. Cheng Fenglong's father couldn't afford to pay for her treatment. The two of them, who had already shed all pretense of cordiality, quarreled even more loudly every day. They could not even protect themselves, so they did not have the energy to care about their son who was destined to never come back. On the third day of Cheng Fenglong's arrest, the police suddenly sent news that Cheng Fenglang wanted to see Su Yiyan one last time. Coincidentally, at the same time, Song Yunyuan also sent a message saying that she wanted to see Hua Chunhuan one last time. When Su Yiyan heard about this, she immediately remembered what her elder brother had said that day. She chuckled and said, "Birds of a feather flock together. These two people's brain circuits are the same. No wonder they can be together." Chapter 1032. Hua Chunhuan's face sank. "Do you want to go? If you don't want to, we won't go." It was just a last-ditch struggle. It didn't matter whether they met or not. "No, I want to go." Su Yiyan turned her head and looked at her man's disapproving expression. She smiled and said, "Let's go and listen to what these two weirdos have to say. At the same time, we can make these two jealous people angry." Humph. Hua Chenhuan immediately guessed Su Yiyen's plan. A trace of helplessness and indulgence flashed through her eyes. Okay. The meeting time was arranged in the afternoon. Considering that these two people might be locked up in the same place in the future, in order to let them get used to it as soon as possible and to save time, Hua Chenhuan simply asked the people over there to arrange for the two people to meet in 2 rooms next to each other. Song Yunyuan and Cheng Fenglang looked at each other across the prison cell. Their faces were a little dark. But they also knew that they had no way out now. If they really made a scene here, they might not even be able to see the person they wanted to see for the last time. When Su Yiyen and Cheng Fenglang came in, Song Yunyuan and Cheng Fenglang were arguing with each other. When they heard the sound, the room suddenly became quiet. Song Yunyuan was the first to react. She stood up and rushed to the front. She held the pillar on the side of the cell tightly. Through the gap, she stared at Hua Chenhuan with blazing eyes. "You're here." Hua Chenhuan frowned slightly. Disgust flashed through her eyes. Then she quickly withdrew her gaze and focused on Su Yiyen. The impatience and coldness between her eyebrows melted in an instant, leaving only a strong warmth and love. This obvious contrast in Song Yunyuan's eyes was tantamount to a sharp knife that ruthlessly pierced her heart. It pierced her self-righteousness and self-confidence. "You shameless bitch thief!" Song Yunyuan's face became ferocious and distorted. His eyes were bloodshot as if he wanted to swallow Su Yiyen alive and tear him into pieces. "Thief!" Su Yiyen raised her eyebrows and found it funny. "What makes you think I'm a thief? What did I steal? Am I a man's heart?" Su Yiyen said as she touched her man's chest like a rogue. "Then I'm really sorry. My man's heart is in my hands from the beginning to the end. It only belongs to me. There's no need to waste any effort to steal it. Only those pitiful creatures who wanted something but couldn't get it would think about other people's things every day and end up with nothing. Serves him right." "You. Nonsense." Song Yunyuan was already irritated by the intimacy between the two. Now that she heard Su Yiyen's words, she was even more furious. "He likes me, he likes me." Su Yiyen chuckled, her eyes full of mockery. "Are you a roundworm in his stomach? Whether he likes you or not, how would you know? Or did he do something to make you misunderstand that he likes you? If that's really the case, now that we're here, I don't mind you bringing up some old and rotten accounts. Tell me, why does he like you?" Song Yunyuan's affectionate expression suddenly froze. Although she made a solemn vow, she really couldn't say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After all, whether it was in the past or now, Hua Chenhuan seemed to be avoiding her like the plague, not to mention treating her well. She thought about the last time she returned to the country happily, and finally found an opportunity to secretly sow discord between Su Yiyen and his wife. Chapter 1033. However, as soon as it started, Hua Chenhuan sent someone to pack them up and send them on the plane. Song Yunyuan was full of confidence when she came back, but she was humiliated when she was sent back. She didn't believe that Hua Chenhuan would treat her like this. It must be that this woman knew the truth and secretly drove her away behind his back. Yes, it must be like this. Song Yunyuan looked at Su Yiyen with increasingly cold and resentful eyes. "Chenhuan, don't be fooled by this woman. She is a shameless B***tch. Do you know that she sent people to catch me behind your back and forced me to leave? She even threatened me that if I dared to come back to you, she would kill me and my family. Don't be fooled by how gentle and considerate she pretends to be in front of you. In fact, she is a vicious B***tch. Are you done scolding?" "What?" Song Yunyuan looked at Hua Chenhuan, whose face was covered with frost and whose eyes were so cold that it seemed to pierce through her. She couldn't help but shiver and suddenly had an ominous premonition. "It seems that you haven't learned your lesson from what happened before. You didn't take the warning I asked Xian to give you to heart at all." "You!" Hua Chenhuan's words were tantamount to admitting that everything that happened before was his doing. Taking a step back, even if it wasn't an order from his mouth, it must have been approved by him. Song Yunyuan's eyes narrowed. She was hit hard. She couldn't accept that Hua Chenhuan really didn't have any feelings for her. Just like how Hua Chenhuan had rejected her countless times in the past, she was the one who pestered him and refused to let go. In the end, when Hua Chenhuan was in trouble, she ran away faster than anyone else. After knowing that his legs had recovered, Song Yunyuan spontaneously beautified everything that had happened in the past. Hua Chenhuan also had feelings for her. It was only because she had left and hurt his heart that he retreated and settled for the next best thing, which allowed another woman to take advantage of him. As long as she appeared again and awakened Hua Chenhuan's former love for her, the inferior substitute would be rejected by him sooner or later. At that time, Hua Chenhuan would definitely divorce and marry her. She would still be the legitimate Mrs. Hua. It's you, isn't it? It's you who deliberately spoke ill of me in front of Chenhuan and ruined his impression of me. You shameless B*TCH. B*TCH. You won't shed tears until you see the coffin. Su Yiyan really thought that this woman was sick in the head. You're a dog skin plaster who worships the powerful and tramples on the weak. You run away when you encounter trouble, and once you find out that there's something to gain, you try every means to stick to me. What gave you the confidence to make you think that your image in Chenhuan's eyes is so pure and unattainable? Song Yunyuan's face was livid. She opened her mouth and wanted to refute. Su Yiyan didn't intend to give her a chance at all. The person in question is right here. Do you want to ask him if he ever had any feelings for you? No. As soon as Su Yiyan's voice fell, the person in question denied it without thinking. I only loved you in the past now and in the future. I don't like anyone else except you. Hua Chenhuan's ruthless words suddenly made the not harmonious atmosphere suffocate. Su Yiyan was the first to react. Looking at Song Yunyuan's pale face, she felt an indescribable relief. Do you understand? Song Yunyuan was like a sick cat whose tail had been stepped on. She opened her mouth with a ferocious expression and was about to curse, but was interrupted by Hua Chenhuan. Chapter 1034. Keep scolding. If you scold my wife, I'll send one of your relatives to accompany you. You've just scolded me 4 times. Within a month, I'll send 4 of your relatives to reunite with you. Don't worry, I won't let you wait long. Hua Chenhuan's words were light as if they were just a joke. But as long as one looked at his expression and the way he stared at Song Yunyuan at the moment, no one would think that he was joking. Song Yunyuan met his gaze and felt a chill run down her spine. It made her limbs cold and she couldn't help but want to shiver. No, you can't. Hua Chenhuan glanced at her as if he was looking at an insignificant ant. No, I can. Song Yunyuan's body trembled. At this moment, she realized that maybe she shouldn't have come back in the first place. She shouldn't have thought that this man would be soft-hearted and change for her. She thought too highly of herself. Su Yiyan saw the change in Song Yunyuan's expression and didn't have any sympathy in her heart. She dared to seduce her husband so blatantly in front of her. Who knew what she was thinking about her husband behind his back? Thinking of this, Su Yiyan couldn't help but feel disgusted. Sometimes, it wasn't a good thing to have many suitors, especially suitors like this who were self-righteous and regarded the person they liked as their possession without the slightest respect. It was a big trouble that couldn't be gotten rid of. In this regard, Chang Fenglang was quite similar to her. Just as she was thinking about this, Chang Fenglang, who had been watching this farce coldly from the side, finally couldn't hold back and shouted with a sad expression, Yan. Mr. Chang, we don't know each other well. The expression on Chang Fenglang's face suddenly froze. Song Yunyuan next door sneered as if she was mocking Chang Fenglang for thinking too much. She was having a hard time, and so was Chang Fenglang. They were all in the same boat, and no one needed to discuss the other. Chang Fenglang's IQ was still a little higher than Song Yunyuan's. The expression on his face only stiffened for a moment before he quickly adjusted. He frowned and said, Is there any misunderstanding between us? Uncle, weren't you the one who reported the company? How could I? Su Yiyan interrupted his explanation. Grandpa has been slandered for taking kickbacks and stealing the research results of his staff. Do you dare to say that you have nothing to do with it? Cheng Juanhao looked into Su Yiyan's eyes. His heart trembled slightly, and a trace of guilt flashed across his eyes. However, he understood that he couldn't admit to this because once he did, he would be doomed eternally. I don't understand what you're talking about. I've heard about what happened between my uncle and the old man. In my heart, I also hope that these things aren't true. It's just that my parents have been in a lot of trouble recently, and I can't take care of myself. That's why I haven't taken the time to care about my uncle and the old man. You can't think that this matter has something to do with me just because of this, or even that I'm behind it. What good can I do if something happens to the old man and uncle? It's true that there's nothing good for you if something happens to your grandfather and uncle. However, there's a kind of person in this world who, even if it's not beneficial to himself, still likes to harm others. It's just for his vanity that has nowhere to go. Yan you. Chang Fenglang frowned and wanted to explain, but he was interrupted by Su Yan again. Why do you think you're here? Do you think I'll tell you this without definite evidence? Do you think the police will arrest people without definite evidence? Chapter 1035. Chang Fenglong's face turned from green to white, from white to green, changing unpredictably. Su Yan was too lazy to continue talking to him. If Chang Fenglang was like Song Yunyuan, crying and making a fuss, she would be in the mood to play with him. But now, he knew that the things he had done had been exposed, but he was still stubborn and trying to get himself out of this matter. He really thought they were fools. If you tried so hard to see me just to say these words, then you're done. Now that you've said it, I'm too lazy to listen to the rest. That's it, let's go. As Su Yan spoke, she pulled Hua Chenhuan and was about to walk out. Seeing this, Chang Fenglang could no longer care about anything else. Wait. Is there anything else? Chang Fenglang looked at Su Yan's slightly mocking eyes, gritted his teeth, and asked tentatively, You know all about it. Know what? Su Yan turned around and looked directly into his eyes. She said with a faint smile, I know that you're the one behind the scenes. You bribed the employees of my uncle's company and maliciously reported my uncle's company and my grandfather, in order to destroy them and get to the top. Or do you know that more than 90% of the reason you did all this is because you like me, and you want to take revenge on my uncle and my grandfather, so that I have no one to rely on and can only rely on you? You already know. Chang Fenglang looked at Su Yan with a burning gaze that had never been seen before. It was as if she had opened the window paper and destroyed some kind of imprisonment that had originally restrained him. Yan, I like you. I've liked you for a long time. You don't know how much I like you and how long I've liked you. We're not related by blood at all, so why did they have to stop me? They even refused to let me see you a few more times. As soon as they knew my feelings for you, they sent me abroad regardless of anything, so that I could never see you again. They deserve to die. Anyone who stops me from being with you deserves to die. As long as they are dead, no one will be able to stop us. As long as they are dead, you can be with me. You will belong to me alone. At this moment, Chang Fenglang finally revealed his crazy side. He knew very well that once his deeds were exposed, Su Yan would not let him go. The Cheng family would not let him go either. Since that was the case, there was no need for him to hide the shameful thoughts that he had been hiding all these years. Hua Chenhuan's face was as black as the bottom of a pot when he heard this man's naked confession and his almost crazy desire to monopolize his wife. Just as he was about to make a move, he was stopped by Su Yan. So what? What? So what if they stop you? Su Yan looked up at Chang Fenglang and said in an unprecedentedly cold tone, You were wrong from the beginning. You like me, but I don't like you. It has nothing to do with whether we are related by blood or not. Even if they don't send you abroad, I can't be with you. Chang Fenglang was shocked, and his always gentle and calm face became distorted and ferocious. Then who do you like? Him. Chang Fenglang pointed at Hua Chenhuan, gnashed his teeth and growled, How can I not compare with him? I can give you whatever he can give you. As long as you are willing, I don't mind that you married him and had a child with him. As long as you are willing, I am willing to give you anything. With such little ability, what right do you have to say that Yan is vain? Let's go. Don't talk to them. Su Yan glanced at the two unconvinced people. She only felt that it was a mistake to come today. What a waste of time. I already regret coming. Su Yan said that she wanted to leave. Hua Chenhuan naturally had no reason to refuse. She immediately took Su Yan's hand and led her out, leaving the two losers staring at each other and mocking each other. This is your so-called white moonlight. Look at her. Does she care about you? You're asking for humiliation. Chapter 1037. Chang Fenglong's face darkened, and he sneered back. Is this your so-called childhood sweetheart? You're young and affectionate. I'm afraid she doesn't even remember your name, right? I feel ashamed for you. The two losers couldn't get any benefits from Su Yan and Chang Fenglang, so they had to turn to attack their allies around them. In the rest of their short and long lives, they had to fight with each other. Su Yiyan came out with Hua Chenhuan. She was still angry and looked like she wanted to hit someone. Hua Chenhuan was a little angry, but he calmed down when he saw her like this. He bent his lips and said with a faint smile, "Didn't you say you wanted to come? Why are you being so awkward now?" "I regret it." Su Yiyan snorted and said unhappily, "I wanted to come here and make these people angry. Who would have thought that they were so weird? They made themselves angry first." Hua Chenhuan knew what she was angry about. He comforted her softly. "It's okay. Anyway, we won't see them again." Su Yiyan was silent for a moment and asked tentatively, "How long will they be locked up like this?" Hua Chenhuan didn't answer her immediately. Instead he asked, "How long do you want them to be locked up?" "Of course, I want them to be locked up as long as they can. Don't let them out to harm people again." "As you wish." Su Yiyan looked up at him in confusion, but she didn't ask more. Cheng Fenglong's matter was quite big. The Cheng family couldn't hide it, and they didn't want to help their family hide it. Although Cheng Juanhao's company was founded by himself, he was helped by some relatives and friends who had a good relationship with him. Cheng Juanhao was not a person who would kill a donkey after it had outlived its usefulness. After the company grew stronger, he paid back most of the people who had helped him. Those who had a certain ability worked in the company. Those who had limited talent in this area could not take on heavy responsibilities. According to the original investment, they could get dividends every year. Cheng Fenglong's original intention was to destroy Cheng Juanhao's company and the Cheng family. But strictly speaking, didn't he also touch the cake of many relatives and friends? The people who originally had a good relationship with their family quickly turned against them after learning about this matter. They sharpened their knives to teach them a lesson, but found that Cheng Fenglang had already been captured. Cheng Fenglong's mother had liver cancer and had a falling out with Cheng Fenglong's father. She had no money for treatment and was struggling to survive in the hospital. Of course, Cheng Fenglong's father was not much better. Perhaps because of the chaos in his family, he was also in a bad mood. He went out to get drunk alone, and in the end, he went crazy outside and bumped into or almost molested a pregnant woman. She was so scared that she almost had a miscarriage. When the pregnant woman's husband found out, he naturally couldn't take it lying down. He directly beat Cheng Fenglong's father and sent him to the hospital. The worst thing was that the man had been too heavy-handed. He had kicked Cheng Fenglong's father's body so hard that he was basically crippled. When Cheng Fenglong's father woke up and learned of this bad news, he almost couldn't catch his breath and went to see his old father who had passed away. His eldest son was crippled. Not to mention that there was an 80% to 90% chance that he would not be able to get out of prison in the future. Even if he did, there was basically no hope. His wife had become like this. He originally wanted to divorce her or simply kill her, marry another one, and try to have another child. Now there was no hope at all. Chapter 1038. After Cheng Fenglong's father woke up again, he stared blankly at the snow-white ceiling in the ward for a long time. He thought of the time when Cheng Juanhao and his wife had no children. Every time his wife encountered something unpleasant, she would drag them out to vent her anger. She would sarcastically mock their family for doing too many bad things and that they deserved to die without descendants. Although he didn't agree, he was secretly happy. He felt that even if he couldn't compare with her, at least he had a son. But now, other people's lives were getting better and better, and he was the one who died without descendants. Perhaps this was retribution. The Cheng family's company and Old Master Cheng's affairs were dealt with quickly. Because of Song Yunyuan and Cheng Fenglong's arrangement, a large number of media outlets initially came to stir up trouble, causing Old Master Cheng and Cheng Juanhao's company to be attacked by some poor people who hated the rich for a few days. Later, when the Cheng family presented evidence, many people who had been particularly aggressive before chose to shut down their microphones. A small number of people chose to apologize, and an even smaller number of people were unwilling to admit that they had done anything wrong. They were paranoid and believed that this was a conspiracy. However, because the hammer was too hard, this small number of people didn't make any waves. Su Yiyan and Hua Chenhuan stayed at the Cheng family's house until everything was settled. As soon as they got home, they found that Ling Xiaoqi was already waiting for them at home. "Are you okay? Is everything okay at home? I only found out about your grandfather's family a few days ago. I don't know how you guys are doing, so I can only worry. It's okay. It's all settled. Ling Xiaoqi breathed a sigh of relief and whispered, "That's good." Su Yiyen saw that she looked a little haggard. Since she already knew about her family situation a few days ago, there was no reason for her not to contact her, unless... Did something happen to you these past few days? Did you encounter any difficulties? Ling Xiaoqi froze for a moment, and her eyes began to wander. No, nothing. Su Yiyen saw her guilty look and became more and more sure of her guess. She frowned and said, "If it's nothing, why don't you dare to look at me? Raise your head and look into my eyes. Tell me, did anything happen to you these past few days?" Ling Xiaoqi's expression stiffened. She knew that she couldn't hide it from Su Yiyen, so she had to tell the truth. "I did run into some trouble, but it's over now." "What trouble?" Su Yiyen's mind flashed. "Is it related to that man?" Ling Xiaoqi's expression changed slightly, and Su Yiyen knew that he had guessed correctly. A cold light flashed in his eyes, and there was a hint of murderous intent. From the looks of it, she had been too gentle in dealing with them previously. This family actually dared to make trouble for Ling Xiaoqi. They really had evil intentions. "He came to find you again?" Ling Xiaoqi shook her head. "It's not him. It's another man." "Another man? Who is it?" "Yan, do you still remember that I told you before that I found a job at Qian Group? You also said that the general manager of that company, his style wasn't good, and told me not to go." Su Yiyen was startled. After realizing the meaning of Ling Xiaoqi's words, his face turned completely black. "You mean, the general manager of Qian Group came to find you? What did he want from you? Did he do anything bad to you?" Ling Xiaoqi recalled what had happened these past few days, and her expression became a little angry. She said angrily, "He wanted to, but unfortunately he didn't have the chance." Chapter 1039. It turned out that since half a month ago, Ling Xiaoqi had been bumping into a strange man at various times and places. At first, Ling Xiaoqi did not pay much attention to him. After all, he was just a stranger whom she did not have much interaction with. It was normal for her to have no impression of him. However, after that, the frequent coincidental encounters at various times and places made Ling Xiaoqi feel that something was wrong. Not to mention that a few days ago, the man was no longer satisfied with the coincidental encounters and could not help but take the initiative to strike up a conversation with her. Although Ling Xiaoqi was a little slow at the beginning, she was not stupid. How could she not tell that this man was up to no good after such incidents happened a few times? As a single person who had a boyfriend, Ling Xiaoqi immediately told Ning Siyuan about it when she felt that something was wrong. Ning Siyuan took it seriously the moment he heard it. Not to mention whether or not this man really liked Ling Xiaoqi and wanted to steal her away and make her his cuckold. A man who was always in front of a girl and even took the initiative to strike up a conversation with her must have an ulterior motive. Whether it was for money, sex or anything else, Ling Xiaoqi would definitely not have an easy time with such a man. If something were to happen to her, who would compensate him with such a grown-up wife? Ning Siyuan made a prompt decision and assigned a few bodyguards to protect Ling Xiaoqi 24/7 so that she would not have any chance of being left alone. Apart from that, he also specially got someone to investigate who this bastard who dared to mess with the Almighty was. He didn't expect that he would find something that was intriguing. "He came to me because of that man." Su Yiyen frowned. "What do you mean?" "Their company's chairman and that man are friends. He happened to overhear the conversation between their chairman and that man and knew that I was that man." Ling Xiaoqi paused when she said this. Obviously, she was very reluctant to admit this. "He knew that I was that man's only bloodline in this world and heard that he was going to pass the company to me, so he had some ulterior motives. I want to hurry before that man takes me back." Ling Xiaoqi didn't finish her words, but Su Yiyen immediately guessed the general manager's Hua plan. "He wants to seduce you before you are recognized, win your heart in advance, and marry into your family after you are recognized?" "Yeah." Su Yiyen was angry and disgusted. She sneered and said, "This man's appetite is really not small." Ling Xiaoqi also felt disgusted, but she was more disgusted and confused. "What do you think he thinks? You should at least have some professional integrity before trying to seduce someone. You should do your homework first. I already have a boyfriend, yet you're still trying to get close to me." Are you trying to be a third party? You're underestimating some people's moral integrity. So what if he's a third party? As long as he can get inexhaustible wealth and become the best of the best, even if he is asked to kill and set fire, he will do it. Being a third party is not even an appetizer for them. Believe it or not, if you really inherit that man's family property, as long as you wave your hand, many people will be willing to be your third, fourth or fifth party. Ling Xiaoqi was disgusted by Su Yiyan's assumption. She shook her head quickly and said, I don't want any third party, fourth party, or fifth party. One boyfriend is enough. I can't handle more than one, and I don't want that man's stinky money. I'm disgusted with his things. You think so, but others don't think so. Chapter 1040. The man who hit on you has been married for a long time. His wife is the daughter of a director of Qian Group. Ling Xiaoqi was a little surprised. Ning Siyuan didn't tell her about this. Then why is he still? I guess he's not a particularly well-behaved person. He's bent on climbing up and unwilling to be under others. However, his father-in-law is just a small director of Qian Group. He's not even the chairman. And the chairman of their company is friends with that man. They're of the same generation. It can be seen that the man's status is higher than his father-in-law's. People want to climb up. He wants to climb up. The fastest shortcut is to hook up with a woman who is better than his current wife and can bring him a bright future. That person is you. Ling Xiaoqi's face darkened. Obviously, she was very disgusted and dissatisfied that she had inexplicably become a tool for others to climb up. Have you ever heard of this saying? When a person acts like himself, he or she will assume that others are the same as him or her, and will naturally project his or her thoughts onto others. In his opinion, you're a poor girl with no money, power, and no one to rely on. You must want to get the warmth of a family. You must love money as much as he does. You want to soar into the sky and become a rich second generation that everyone envies. You have no reason to refuse such a good thing. Ling Xiaoqi curled her lips. But I really will refuse, so he's destined to be disappointed. Su Yiyan glanced at her and deliberately teased her. Even if you don't refuse, you can't fall in love with someone else. You can't leave eldest young Master Ning, who has such potential, and blindly fall in love with such a thing? Ling Xiaoqi was stunned. After realizing that Su Yiyan deliberately teased her, she glared at her angrily. Then she seemed to think of something and asked tentatively, Yan, did you already know that Qian Group has something to do with that man? In fact, when Ning Siyuan investigated the man's background and told her the ins and outs of the matter, Ling Xiaoqi already had a trace of suspicion in her heart. When she had just returned from abroad, she had interviewed for several companies before deciding to go to Qian Group, which had better conditions in all aspects. But in the end, before she could apply for a job, she was forced into Dongqing by Su Yiyan. At that time, she didn't think much about it. She only thought that Su Yiyan was worried that she would be bullied in other companies and wanted her to enter her company. Now that she thought about it, she felt that Su Yiyan when she heard that she was going to Qian Group. It was as if she already knew that she would be at a disadvantage. At that time, she only thought that Su Yiyan was worried that she would be harassed by that man and suffer from the unspoken rules of the business world. Now, she felt that Su Yiyan might have already known that she would be involved with that man when she joined that company. When the time comes, she would inevitably be at a disadvantage because of the contract. Su Yiyan saw that she had found out and did not continue to hide it. She sighed and asked carefully, Are you angry? I'm not angry. I just hope that you can tell me the next time something like this happens. After all, I'm the person involved. I know you're doing it for my own good, but it's a little uncomfortable to be kept in the dark about such things. Also, I'm an adult. Don't treat me like a child and a fragile thing. Although I hate that man, he's really not that important in my heart. Chapter 1041. While Ling Xiaoqi was talking, Su Yiyan had been carefully observing her expression. When he was sure that she didn't force herself to talk about that man, he heaved a sigh of relief. He knew that she had finally let it go. Yes. You've grown up. You're no longer a child. How can a child fall in love with someone? I was thinking too much. I didn't tell you before because I was worried that you'd do something stupid on impulse. You're just a girl after all. Those people have money and power, and they'll do anything to achieve their goals. Who knows what kind of despicable things they'll do. It's different now. Someone has someone to protect her. She's confident and doesn't need me to worry about her. That's good. Ling Xiaoqi was stunned for a long time before she realized that Su Yiyan was making fun of her. Her face flushed red, but she didn't refute him. Ning Siyuan had indeed helped her a lot this time. Su Yiyan was laughing, but he was still thinking about business. Since you already know the twists and turns of this, what are you going to do? The key to this matter wasn't the man who had tried to seduce her, but Ling Xiaoqi's cheap father, who still wanted to bring her back to acknowledge her ancestors and become a puppet. This person had appeared before, but Su Yiyan had used some tricks to chase him back to his original position. He couldn't even take care of himself and wouldn't have the chance to find trouble with Ling Xiaoqi. However, this wasn't a long-term plan. If he wanted to solve this once and for all, he had to think of another way. Actually, Siyuan has discussed this with me. What did he say? He said that if I'm willing, he can help me destroy their family and take over their business under his name. Then what? Ling Xiaoqi avoided Su Yiyan's gaze and said embarrassedly, then give it to me as a betrothal gift. Betrothal gift? Su Yiyan felt that he had been shown off. He said with a subtle expression, so, he's going to propose to you? Ling Xiaoqi was stunned. For a moment, she didn't know how to answer. Su Yiyan didn't continue on the topic of the couple. He only asked tentatively, what do you think? Ling Xiaoqi pursed her lips. After a long silence she said, actually I don't really want it. No, you have to. You have to. Yan. Ling Xiaoqi looked at Su Yiyan in surprise and confusion. That's his love for you, and it's what you deserve. Su Yiyan held Ling Xiaoqi's hand and said earnestly, you have to understand that letting that man take you home, force you to be his daughter, and then force you to marry the son-in-law he likes and give birth to an heir with his blood to inherit his family property is completely different from your boyfriend buying his family property and giving it to you as a betrothal gift. The former means forcing, coercion, bullying, and oppression. The initiative is in the hands of others, and you are the one who is controlled. The latter means that the initiative is in your hands. As long as you're willing, no one can force you. As long as you want, you can even make those who you don't like and who have let you and Auntie Ling down pay the price. Ling Xiaoqi narrowed her eyes. You mean, why did that man let your mother down? Wasn't it because he thought he was extraordinary and couldn't bear to give up his wealth and status? He was a scum in human skin. Without these things, do you think he can still live a decent life? Chapter 1042. Ling Xiaoqi lowered her eyes slightly and still didn't speak. Su Yiyan could tell that she was wavering. He smiled faintly and said, Auntie Ling and you have suffered so much because of this man. You even had to bear some bad names because of him. I don't believe that you don't hate him at all. This is a good opportunity. You don't have to trouble Ning Siyuan with this. He's your boyfriend. It's only right for him to protect you. Moreover, this isn't difficult for him. Ling Xiaoqi's cheap father had some family connections, but those family connections were really not enough in front of the Ning and Qi families. If Ning Siyuan really wanted to mess with him, it was only a matter of time before his family's company fell into Ling Xiaoqi's hands. Being kind to your enemy is being cruel to yourself. Ling Xiaoqi nodded seriously. I understand. I'll consider it seriously. By the way, when you ask Ning Siyuan to keep an eye on that man, don't forget to keep an eye on his wife. A person who has nothing is more dangerous than an uncivilized beast when he goes crazy. With Su Yiyan's reminder, Ling Xiaoqi finally remembered that the man had a wife who had a marriage alliance with him. That wife even gave birth to a son for him. However, the son died in an accident, and he couldn't have another child. That was why he thought of her. Although Ling Xiaoqi didn't have a child yet, she put herself in his shoes. If her husband couldn't wait to pick up another woman's child and come back to snatch her child's things when her child had just died in an accident, she would probably go crazy on the spot. Ling Xiaoqi hadn't met Qin Fengda's first wife, so she didn't know what kind of person she was. However, while one shouldn't have the intention to harm others, one should still be wary of others. I'll mention this to him. Su Yiyan wasn't particularly close to Ning Siyuan, but Su Yiyan thought highly of his ability and how much he cared about Ling Xiaoqi. Therefore, he didn't pay much attention to this matter after that. On the third day after Su Yiyan's family returned, The Li family hurriedly came looking for them. Along with them were Song Linghua and his wife. Strictly speaking, although Song Yunyuan's matter had nothing to do with the two elders, it was more or less because Song Yunyuan used their names to intimidate others. The two elders still felt a subtle sense of guilt towards Su Yiyan. When they heard that the Li family was coming to visit Su Yiyan, they hurriedly followed along and even brought along a large pile of gifts. Su Yiyan had just come down from upstairs when he heard the announcement. He was shocked by the group of people. "It's good that you're here. Why did you bring so many things?" "These are gifts from my family to thank you." Lian Nam's limbs were still tightly wrapped like before, but there was an additional cap on his head and a mask on his face. Although it was still tightly covered, at least he was willing to reveal his skin except for his facial features. It was a big improvement. This time, besides Grandpa and Grandma Li, Lian Nam's parents also came along with Lian Nam. Mother Li was a very elegant middle-aged woman. Perhaps because of her daughter's misfortune, she faintly exuded a melancholy aura. However, when she heard her daughter's words, the expression on her face suddenly became more lively. She smiled faintly and said, "Nan Nan is right. I heard from my family that Miss Sue's scar removal ointment is very effective." Nan Nan previously. Chapter 1043. When Mother Li said this, she subconsciously glanced at her daughter. Her eyes were slightly red, but she quickly stabilized her emotions and revealed a hint of obvious joy in her eyes. "She is now willing to communicate with us and cooperate with the treatment. This is something we didn't dare to imagine before. This is all thanks to Miss Sue. You are our family's benefactor. I hope you can accept this small token of appreciation. In the future, please take care of Nan Nan." Frankly speaking, when the two elders wanted to bring Lian Nam over, the couple was opposed to it. In the past few years, they had sought out countless well-known doctors for Lian Nam. They didn't think that a young man in his early 20s could really help them solve their problem. Who knew if bringing a child over would cause harm to her again? But who would have thought that it was this young man, whom they didn't have any hope for at the beginning, who helped their disheartened daughter take that crucial step forward? "You flatter me. I just did what I could. The focus is still on Miss Li. If she is not willing, no one can force her." That was true, but if it wasn't for Su Yiyan's scar removal ointment that gave Lian Nam hope of recovery, how could she walk out of this dead end and pull herself together again? Mother Li was very grateful to Su Yiyan, but she could tell that Su Yiyan didn't like to take on jobs, so she didn't continue to flatter her. She just hid this gratitude in her heart. Su Yiyan said a few words to Mother Li, then turned her attention to Song Linghua and her husband. "Auntie Song, you are again." Song Linghua and Luo Baoging looked at each other and said awkwardly, "You must have suffered a lot this time. This is a little token of our appreciation to help you calm down." "You are too polite." Su Yiyan's eyes flashed. She knew what the two were referring to, but she didn't expose them. She smiled faintly and asked, "Auntie Song, how have you been? Did you encounter any troubles?" Of course there were troubles. Just as Su Yiyan had predicted, Song Yunyuan was arrested. Her family would definitely seek help from Song Linghua, a relative in China. Song Linghua didn't know how these people had the audacity to order her around. Anyway, she didn't spoil them. He directly told them that he couldn't help, and neither could Luo Baoging. At the same time, he also provoked them and admitted that all of this was Song Yunyuan's own doing. He deserved to end up like this. If they were smart, they would treat it as if they didn't have this daughter in the future. They would live their lives honestly and not engage in those crooked practices. Perhaps they could still live the rest of their lives well. Otherwise, once these words were spoken, the consequences could be imagined. Song Yunyuan's parents cursed over the phone. Song Linghua couldn't be bothered to be long-winded with them. She simply hung up and blocked them, strangling all of their curses in the cradle. However, to be able to raise a daughter like Song Yunyuan, her parents weren't easy to deal with. Even though Song Linghua blocked them, they still had ways to harass them. However, this situation didn't last long. Hua Chenhuan kept her word. She said that she would send Song Yunyuan's relatives to accompany her, so she sent them in. The Song family had no power to fight back. After losing several talents, they finally understood that Song Linghua's warning was not groundless. They chose to admit defeat before all the members of the family fell, returning their family's peace. "It's okay. It's all settled. Chapter 1044. Su Yiyen was just asking casually. She wasn't very interested in the Song family's affairs. She quickly turned her attention to the young man beside Lian Nam, who looked strangely familiar. Today, other than Lian Nam's grandfather and grandmother, who had been here once before, her parents were also here. Other than them, there was this young man who had a subtle expression and looked at her from time to time. This is. When Su Yiyen took the initiative to ask, Mrs. Li and the others hurriedly introduced him. This is my nephew, my sister's child. He and his sister grew up together and have always been very close. Today, when he heard that we were coming, he insisted on coming to see us, Mrs. Li said as she waved at the young man. Jihong, say hello to Miss Su. Jihong. Su Yiyen was stunned. In Jihong? Wen Jingping's newly hooked up with a capable young actor? It can't be. Such a coincidence. In Jihong was a little surprised when he heard Su Yiyen call out his full name. He frowned slightly. You know me? Su Yiyen didn't expect that the person she helped treat for Song Linghua's sake would be In Jihong's cousin. Was this a coincidence? You're an actor. An insider. I have an entertainment company under my management. Isn't it normal to know you? Hearing this, the Li family also remembered Su Yiyen's identity. They knew that she wasn't only Hua Chenhuan's wife, but also ran an entertainment company that was part of her dowry. She had many well-known male and female artists under her management. Song Linghua and Luo Baoging had worked with her in this area, so they reconnected with her and her family Hua. If Miss Su didn't mention it, I would have forgotten. Jihong, didn't you always praise that Red Dancer was especially good? That drama was invested in by Miss Su's company, and your grandpa Luo personally directed it. After Hai Yi's Empress failed both in terms of viewership ratings and reputation, Dong Cheng's Hongling could be said to be the complete opposite. Even in the later stages of the broadcast, the ratings still did not decrease. Instead, there was a trend of increasing. One had to know that many TV series nowadays had strong starts and weak ends. The first 10 or so episodes would attract the audience's attention first, but the last 10 or so episodes would start to crazily pour in. This made many viewers who only wanted to watch the characters' ending feel as if a fishbone was stuck in their throats. It was tasteless to eat, but it was a pity to abandon it. He could only vent his dissatisfaction by getting low ratings. Naturally, the ratings of the series dropped. As for Red Brave, due to its high performance throughout the entire process, there was not a single drop in the plot even in the middle and later stages of the production. It was deeply loved by the audience, and in just 1 or 2 months, it had already become the most popular drama series of the year. Unsurprisingly, Dongqing Entertainment, the biggest investor, became the biggest winner of this explosive production. With this drama alone, they earned back more than half of their investment last year. It was a solid start for Su Yiyen's IP project. In Jihong had indeed praised the show before and even tried his best to recommend it to his relatives and friends. Not to mention other things, many people in the Li family had been led into the pit by him. However, in the past month after he joined the cast, his family had been watching the show happily. As the person who had first recommended the show to them, he had become less and less talkative about it. No one thought much about it. They just thought that In Jihong was busy with filming and had no time to watch the show. Naturally, he would not discuss the plot with them. However, it seemed that this was not the case. Chapter 1045. In Jihong's mind went blank for a moment when he heard his aunt mention dancing in red. Even his expression froze for a moment. Mother Li did not think much of it when she saw him like this. She thought that he was surprised to find out that the show he liked was produced by someone he knew, so he could not react in time. On the other hand, Su Yiyen subconsciously paid more attention to him when she found out that the young man in front of her was In Jihong. Seeing him like this, for some reason, she suddenly remembered the words that Xia Junxing had said to her before. He had said that In Jihong had a strict upbringing, and that he was a lofty person who abhorred evil. Because of this, he had not been friendly with Wen Jingping at first. Later, when Wen Jingping and Ding Juexi's scandal was exposed, In Jihong, who should have been estranged from Wen Jingping, suddenly became very close to her. He had unknowingly protected Wen Jingping as if he had been possessed. Possessed? Su Yiyen's eyes turned cold. Ever since Ding Juexi's scandal was exposed, Her gold finger progress had been stuck at 75 and had not moved at all. Was the last 25 on the person in front of her or on Do Tianyi? Countless thoughts flashed through Su Yiyen's mind, but she did not show it on her face. She smiled and said, "Mr. Yin, you've watched Dancing in Red. I heard that there was some trouble in a show that Mr. Yin has been filming recently. It's quite troublesome. Has it been resolved?" When everyone heard her words, their gazes all drifted towards Yin Jihong. "Jihong, something happened to your production team? Why didn't you mention it? Is it serious? Do you need help?" Yin Jihong's expression was subtle. He was silent for a while before he said, "It's nothing serious. It's been resolved." After he said that, he suddenly changed the topic and said, "Miss Su seems to be very interested in our production team." Su Yiyen could tell that he was testing her. She smiled and said, "That's not it. I'm a gossipy person and I like to watch the fun. Usually, when I have nothing to do, I like to eat melons and watch dramas online. This free drama is my favorite. How can I miss it?" Yin Jihong did not expect Su Yiyen to say that, and his body stiffened uncontrollably. The people present were all shrewd people. At this point, how could they not see the subtle atmosphere between the two? Mrs. Li and the others looked at each other. They didn't know if there was any contact or conflict between the two of them. Luo Baoging and his wife were equally puzzled. However, they were industry insiders and knew a little more than the Li family. Recalling Su Yiyen's words, Luo Baoging had a guess. Jihong has also been busy filming recently. Which production team did he join? Luo Baoging was an elder and a senior in the circle. Naturally, Yin Jihong had to answer his question. He whispered the name of a drama. As soon as Luo Baoging heard the name, his eyebrows twitched. He knew that his guess was not far from the truth. "So it's this drama. It did cause a lot of trouble some time ago. I didn't expect the male lead to be you. What a pity." Luo Baoging whispered in riddles. Not only did he not solve the Li family's confusion, but he also aroused their curiosity. What's wrong with this drama? Is there something wrong with the director? Or is there something wrong with the actors and the crew? As Mrs. Li spoke, she suddenly looked at Yin Jihong and asked, "Jihong, are you hiding something from us?" Chapter 1046. Yin Jihong's brows furrowed slightly. Under the probing gazes of his relatives, he didn't know what to say. Actually, it's nothing much. There are so many people in a drama, so there's bound to be a few weirdos. It's fine as long as it's settled. Luo Baoging knew the twists and turns in this matter. He also knew that it wasn't good to discuss this topic in front of the people involved, so he ended the topic and gave Grandpa Li a look. Grandpa Li instantly understood and pulled back his wife who was about to continue asking. He smiled faintly and said, "Old Luo is right. How can everything go smoothly at work? It's fine as long as it's settled. Today, we're here to thank Miss Su and confirm Nan Nan's treatment with Miss Su. Business is more important." Since Grandpa Li had said so, Grandma Li naturally couldn't say anything. When Yin Jihong heard Luo Baoging's vague derogatory evaluation, he subconsciously wanted to refute Wen Jingping. However, when the words were about to come out of his mouth, he unexpectedly met Su Yiyen's gaze. His mind went blank again. He didn't know why, but the words that were about to come out of his mouth couldn't come out. Su Yiyen saw Yin Jihong's conflicted and confused expression. She only felt that it was even more out of place. She looked at Yin Jihong with a more probing gaze. "System. Is there any way to investigate the reason why Yin Jihong's attitude towards Wen Jingping was different? Isn't Wen Jingping's female lead halo already very weak? How can it still make these people lose their intelligence? Is there something that you and I don't know about? Does the host suspect that Wen Jingping used some unspeakable methods on Yin Jihong?" Su Yiyen was silent for a moment, then probed. "Can you find out? The host can scan the past experience and memory of a potential threat to confirm whether or not he has been corrupted by the female lead halo." Su Yiyen was shocked. The system actually had such a function. She thought that the system's skill points were all in Chinese medicine. Before she could finish being happy, she heard the system add another sentence. As long as the host pays the corresponding favorability points. She knew that this lousy system wasn't easy to talk to. How much? 1 million favorability points. Su Yan was stunned for a moment. He opened his mouth, but before he could react to this inexplicably huge number, he heard the system faintly spit out 2 more words. Once. When did you learn to speak so slowly? The system won't breathe, thank you. Su Yan. I'm actually speechless, so angry. 1 million favorable impression points each time? Are you trying to rob me? Previously, the one-time use good luck halo that she exchanged for only cost 1,000 favorability points. Although it was a little expensive to upgrade it, the seeds that she unlocked were basically worth a few thousand each. Even if it was more expensive, it wouldn't be more than a few tens of thousands. He had only scanned it once, and it actually cost 1 million. Su Yan felt that he had the word sucker hanging over his head, and that he could be ripped off at any time. I suspect that you're raising the price on the spot. I want to lodge a complaint. The system has yet to activate the complaint function. The choice is in your hands. If you don't accept this price, you can also choose not to make the exchange. The hidden meaning was, take it or leave it, there's no way to lower the price. Hearing the system's stiff reply, Su Yan glanced at the remaining favorability points. She gritted her teeth and made the decision. Exchange. Although with Su Yan's current situation, 1 million favorability points could actually be earned by opening another live broadcast. But when she heard the system's notification, Su Yan couldn't help but feel a little heartache. She felt that she had been cheated. Chapter 1047. The only thing that could comfort her was that this one-time scan function was worth the money. After deducting all the affection points, the system dutifully turned on the virtual camera and scanned Yin Jihong from top to bottom, inside and out. With this sweep, he really did manage to find some things. Su Yan raised her eyebrows. What's wrong? What did you find? This person has traces of using a system item. System item. Su Yan was startled and her expression changed greatly. You mean, there are traces of using a system item on his body? Someone gave it to him? Wen Jingping? If that was the case, then everything made sense. Before this, Yin Jihong's attitude towards Wen Jingping was neither hot nor cold, even somewhat repulsive. However, after her scandal, not only did Yin Jihong's impression of her not worsen, he even protected her under his wings. This kind of behavior was undoubtedly contrary to his personality. However, if he had the support of a system item, then it was understandable. Even someone as calm as Su Yan could not help but change her expression when she realized this. So, Wen Jingping's body is very likely to have a system similar to yours. From a certain point of view, that is correct. However, there should be some differences. Differences? How are they different? Perhaps they both need to complete missions to level up. The system in the hands of the world's female lead can directly exchange for a tool to manipulate people's hearts. This system can only provide a certain amount of technical assistance to the host. In other words, Wen Jingping's system could earn the same amount of affection points as Su Yan's system by completing missions. Then, she could use these affection points to exchange for a tool to manipulate people's hearts. She could manipulate the target to have a favorable impression of her and use them to complete more missions in exchange for more tools. Should I say, as expected of the world's female lead? The system was also different from other people's. This thing could be a virtuous cycle. She did not need to do anything but wait for the excellent supporting male leads to automatically come to her door and beg to give her resources. Realizing this, Su Yan was filled with envy, jealousy, and hatred. She was even more resentful of the system's actions just now. From what you said, the system in her body seems to be even more advanced. The system was silent for a few seconds before faintly replying. System 001 is currently the most advanced system. Host, please do not attack the system personally. Otherwise, the system will take measures to defend itself and cut off part of the security system's technical support in the host's home. Su Yan. This is a threat. A threat. If Su Yan could be threatened by the system's words, then she would not be Su Yan. Listening to the system's exasperated rebuttal, the frustration from the massive hemorrhage had dissipated a little. Su Yan continued to provoke the system's rage points in a good mood. So, you're saying you're the system to Wen Jingping to the system to the system. That is. Since that's the case, you should be able to swallow her system, right? The system choked. It did not expect Su Yiyan to have such thoughts about the system that suddenly appeared in Wen Jingping's body. You have to see it with your own eyes to be sure. Eh. When I heard you say it in such a dignified manner, I thought it wouldn't be difficult for you. System. Don't think I can't tell that you're mocking me. Chapter 1048. The system was enraged by Su Yiyan's words and shut up on the spot. Su Yiyan knew when to stop. She quickly turned her attention back to Wen Jingping. However, this is really strange. Since Wen Jingping has such a good thing on her, how could she have played such a good set of cards to such a state today? Although Su Yiyan was partly responsible for her current predicament, she was not completely innocent. However, if one were to dig deeper, they would find that most of what Su Yiyan did was just fighting back. She had fallen into this awkward situation largely because of herself. Or is it that her item is only effective on people who have come into contact with it in real life? It has no effect on people who have not come into contact with it on the internet? Hearing Su Yiyan's words, the system tried to hold back, but in the end, it could not hold back. If the world's female lead has traces of the system on her body, the system will be able to find out if she is in a photo with the host. Su Yiyan was slightly stunned. You mean, when I met Wen Jingping before, you did not notice that she had another system on her body? Could it be that her system is more advanced than yours, so much so that even you could not detect it? Impossible. The system's angry rebuttal successfully amused Su Yiyan. Since that is not the reason, there is only one possibility left. Wen Jingping's system only appeared after the last time they met. Su Yiyan was not sure about the exact time, but judging from the attitude of the men around Wen Jingping, it must have happened before she met Ding Juesi, or even before that. Miss Su? Miss Su? Su Yiyan was deep in thought because of the sudden discovery of a big secret. Her dazed expression was inevitably noticed by the Li family members who had been paying attention to her. Nothing. Su Yiyan seemed to have woken up from a dream. She did not continue to ask the system about the same system and focused on Li and Nam. Has the surgery time been set? Yes, it will be in a week. Then during this period of time, use this ointment to fade away the scars except for the face. As for the rest, we'll wait until you're done with the surgery and see how well you're recovering. Then, we'll see if there's a need to adjust the dosage of the medicine. The Li family had come here today just to hear Su Yiyan's words. Now that they had heard it, their hearts were much more at ease. They had originally come to express their gratitude, but seeing that it was almost time for dinner, they didn't want to disturb them any further. In addition, many of them had their own matters to attend to, so they didn't stay in the family hua for long. Estimating that it was about time, they got up and bid farewell. Su Yiyan was busy trying to figure out what was going on with the system, so she didn't ask them to stay. Naturally, she didn't know that after they left the family hua, Luo Baoging and Song Linghua were invited into Grandpa Li and Grandma Li's car. The two juniors who had accompanied them were chased to another car. Old Luo, what did you tell Miss Su about Ji Hong's production team? Why did I see that you guys didn't look too good at the time? Luo Baoging glanced at his old friend. After thinking for a while he said, Actually, it's not a big deal. Little Su was engaged to family hua before she got married. You guys should have heard about this, right? I know about this. Grandma Li immediately took over the conversation. Not many people knew about the engagement between Su Yiyan and Hua Xiaofan. However, after the engagement was called off, it caused such a huge commotion. It even involved the cliché plot of a mistress getting married. As a result, their verbal engagement became the laughingstock of many people in high society. Chapter 1049. Not only that, but Su Yiyan had married Hua Xiaofeng's uncle at lightning speed, which had shocked many onlookers. His ex-fiancée had suddenly become his aunt. Perhaps only the person involved would know how bitter it felt. Many people did not dare to talk about it openly, but behind their backs, they shared it as a joke with their friends. Grandma Li had heard about it from an old friend of hers. Mother Li also knew about it. When she heard Luo Baoging suddenly mention it, her heart could not help but skip a beat. Uncle Luo, why did you suddenly mention this? Could it be that the incident with Ji Hong's production team has something to do with this? As soon as she said this, the few people in the car all focused their attention on Luo Baogang. There is indeed something to do with it. There is an actress in his drama, the one that her fiancé found. Mistress? Yes. The Li family's faces changed slightly. How could it be so coincidental? Isn't it just so coincidental? Moreover, after that girl joined the production team, she caused some trouble. What happened? She got involved with a married male actor in the production team. The Li family's members looked at each other and frowned at the same time. If the Li family wanted to know about this, they would naturally investigate it. Luo Baogang did not dwell on this topic. As a friend, he kindly reminded them. This girl seems to especially like to pester rich and powerful men who can help her work. Previously, we did not know that Ji Hong was in the same production team as her. Now that we know, you should take care of the child. Don't let the child take the wrong path and be deceived. Luo Baogang's words were very straightforward. He was a master who liked to hook up with potential stocks everywhere. He did not need to say how outstanding the Li family was. Perhaps they had already been targeted. The elders of the Li family were all shrewd people. This was not the first time something like this had happened. With Ji Hong's background, he had the looks, the connections, and the family background. Not to mention in the entertainment industry, even in those rich and powerful circles, he would be in high demand. Since his debut, there had been a lot of girls who had designs on him. It was just that these people simply couldn't enter his eyes. The Li family believed in their junior self-control and didn't think that Ji Hong would be bewitched by such a girl. But now the person who reminded them was Luo Baogang, and this matter involved Su Yiyan, who was helping Lian Nam with his treatment. They had no choice but to take it seriously. It was actually very easy to find out about Ji Hong's situation on set. Ji Hong had an assistant who followed him around 24/7. There was probably no one who knew more about Ji Hong's situation than him. However, before contacting the assistant, the Li family and the family, who had received the news indirectly, contacted Ji Hong's manager first. Coincidentally, Ji Hong's manager had been busy with another artist under his management. He knew that no one in the industry dared to provoke Ji Hong. He wasn't someone who liked to cause trouble, so he didn't ask much after he sent Ji Hong to the set. He had always been very confident in Ji Hong. Not long ago, Ji Hong's assistant felt that Ji Hong's condition was not right. Only then did he muster up the courage to contact Ji Hong's manager and explain Ji Hong's strange behavior during this period of time. Chapter 1050. Ji Hong's manager didn't think much of it at first, until he heard the second half. After the scandal between Wen Jingping and Ding Juesi, not only did Ji Hong get closer to her, he even planned to act as a middleman to help Wen Jingping connect with other big shots. The reason why the family chose this manager was that he was quick-witted and quick-witted. He knew how to judge the situation. Hearing his assistant say this, he broke out in cold sweat. Not to mention whether Ji Hong was really possessed or not, this matter was definitely related to him. The family's upbringing was famous for being strict. The children they raised were all upright and couldn't tolerate anything. Ji Hong wasn't possessed, but he suddenly had feelings for a spoiled girl. As his manager, he didn't realize it after so long. It was a dereliction of duty. Ji Hong was possessed and was charmed by such a girl. As his manager, he was kept in the dark and couldn't guard against it. It was also a dereliction of duty. Just as the manager was having a headache and didn't know how to deal with this matter, the family called before he could think of a solution. Mr. Een? The manager picked up the phone guiltily. He didn't have much confidence. The family didn't waste time with him and directly stated their purpose. The manager's heart trembled and he almost threw his phone away in shock. After spending a few seconds to figure out that this matter couldn't be hidden anymore, the manager gritted his teeth and told the family all the things that his assistant reported. When the family heard that their youngest son was not only close to a spoiled vixen, but he was also infatuated with this vixen and wanted to use their family's connections to help her get connections and find resources, it was incredible. Ji Hong's father, the current head of the family, Huifeng, first scolded Ji Hong's manager. Then, he carefully asked about Wen Jingping's situation on the set. He found out that this woman was just a female lead and that the scenes related to her had long been finished. Logically speaking, She should have been kicked out of the set a long time ago after causing such a scandal with the male actor in the same set. However, the truth was that Wen Jingping had shamelessly stayed behind in the name of an exchange study. Moreover, Yin Jihong had helped her with this. When Father Yin heard about this, he was so angry that he almost fainted on the spot. As soon as he hung up the phone, he rushed to Yin Jihong's workplace and took his stupid son away. It was rare for him to severely reprimand him. He also ordered Yin Jihong to immediately break off his relationship with Wen Jingping and never meet this woman again. This was the first time Yin Jihong's father had scolded his child, and it was also the first time Yin Jihong had been scolded. Mr. Yin originally thought that his scolding would wake his son up, but he didn't expect his son, who had always been well-behaved and obedient, to talk back to him after hearing a few words. He even had a big fight with him. When Su Yiyen found out about this, Yin Jihong had already been locked up by the Yin family. It was said that because of him, the Yin family had secretly found a few masters to exorcise him. They felt that his soul had been seduced by a vixen and he had been possessed. After Su Yiyen asked someone to inquire about the whole story, he was both embarrassed and puzzled. Was Yin Jihong so wild at home? When they met previously, Su Yiyen could feel the other party's coldness towards him, as well as his occasional absent-mindedness. However, there wasn't much of a conflict in the end. He originally thought that he would be a calm and patient guy, but he didn't expect. As if reading Su Yiyen's mind, the system took the initiative to go online and clear up Su Yiyen's worries and doubts. Yin Jihong didn't have a conflict with the host previously because the host was there. Chapter 1051. Su Yiyen was stunned for a few seconds before she realized what it meant. She frowned and said, "Are you saying that he's calmer because I'm around and didn't get into a conflict with anyone?" "You can say that." "No, what does this have to do with me?" Could it be that she was a tool to keep Yin Jihong awake? Yin Jihong's abnormality originated from the world's female lead. The host has stolen the halo of the world's female lead. Yin Jihong's influence will be suppressed in front of the host, and he will gain temporary lucidity. I see. No wonder Yin Jihong's behavior was so strange that day. She could faintly feel his hostility towards her, but he seemed to be very restrained. He would also be in a trance from time to time. In addition, the skill item used by the world's female lead is not of a high level. She needs to be in contact with a target for a long time and strengthen it again and again to make him have a better impression of her. Su Yiyen narrowed her eyes and immediately grasped the main point of the system's words. In other words, the effect of her item is not permanent, and it's not even long-term. As long as Yin Jihong is not in contact with her for a short period of time, he will return to normal and no longer be affected by the item? Logically speaking, that's the case. That's interesting. Su Yiyen's lips curled up slightly, and a trace of interest flashed through her eyes. Xia Junxing had mentioned to her before that Yin Jihong's initial attitude towards Wen Jingping was not good, and Wen Jingping had created such a big scandal with the male actor in the crew during filming. If it was Yin Jihong's original temperament, he should have hated her. He should have avoided her like the plague and despised her even if he looked at her more than once. However, under inexplicable circumstances, he actually had a good impression of her, and even did a lot of stupid things for her that were enough to make him ashamed to death. When Yin Jihong completely sobered up and recalled these things, she wondered if he would be angry and take his anger out on Wen Jingping, the main culprit. If that was the case, there would be a good show to watch. As Su Yiyen expected, Yin Jihong was quite unconvinced when he was first locked up. Mrs. Yin knew about what had happened to Wen Jingping. Although she didn't agree with what her son had done, her heart softened when she saw that the father and son had quarreled so fiercely. She took the initiative to go to her son's room. She wanted to be the peacemaker and persuade her son to mend his ways and stop being angry with his father. In the end, it would have been better if Wen Jingping had not been mentioned. The moment she did, Yin Jihong instantly lost control of his emotions. After having a conflict with his father, he had a conflict with his mother. Father Yin was already angry because of his son's late rebellion. When he found out that his son had actually yelled at his wife, he was even angrier. If it weren't for Mama Yin stopping her, she would have rolled up her sleeves and engaged in domestic violence. Because of this small episode, Yin Jihong's imprisonment was naturally extended indefinitely. However, he didn't sit still and wait for his death. Ever since the day he had a conflict with his parents, he had been on a hunger strike. When Papa Een found out about this, he got even angrier. He hadn't even done anything to him yet, but he was already on a hunger strike. Did this little brat feel wronged? If you want to go on a hunger strike, then so be it. Let's see who can outlast the other. It had to be said that the temperaments of the father and son were very similar. They were equally stubborn, and neither was willing to give in first. Only Mama Een suffered. On one hand, she felt sorry for her son, but on the other hand, she knew that her husband wasn't wrong. She was in a dilemma and secretly cried countless times. Fortunately, this situation didn't last too long. On the third day after being locked up, Een Ji-hong suddenly seemed to have been enlightened and stopped his hunger strike. Chapter 1052. Mrs. Een was overjoyed. She thought that her son had thought things through and was no longer going against his father. However, she realized that although her son had eaten, he was in a trance and didn't respond to any of her questions. It was as if he had lost his mind. Een Ji-hong's stupor frightened the Een family. They invited one doctor after another. After the examination, they all said that everything was normal. He was healthy and eating well. However, Een Ji-hong's state was obviously not right. Just as the Een family was considering whether to invite the doctor who had recently treated their in-law's niece and was said to be very good, Een Ji-hong suddenly woke up. "Dad, Mom, what's wrong with me?" Een Ji-hong, who hadn't seen Wen Jingping for nearly half a month or had any physical contact with her, only felt that his mind was in a mess. He seemed to have forgotten something, but also seemed to have forgotten nothing. He was in a daze and couldn't tell what was real and what was not. "You don't remember?" Mrs. Een rushed to her son's bedside as soon as she heard the noise. Hearing this, she subconsciously turned to look at her husband with confusion in her eyes. "Remember what?" Een Ji-hong held his head and looked around. For a moment, he still didn't understand the situation. Mrs. Een was afraid that she would agitate him, so she asked tentatively, "Did you forget what happened recently? Did you forget why you were at home?" At home. These two short words seemed to have turned on a certain switch. Everything that had happened recently was stuffed into Een Ji-hong's mind. Een Ji-hong's expression changed from the initial confusion and discomfort to gloomy and livid. Mrs. Yin's heart skipped a beat when she saw the sudden change in her son's expression. "Ji-hong, are you okay?" "Mom, I'm fine." Een Ji-hong thought of what he had done recently and felt a little more apologetic toward his parents. "I just suddenly woke up and remembered what happened recently. It's as if I've been possessed." Possessed? The couple was shocked. "Yes. I really don't like Wen Jingping at all. You could even say that I hate her. Especially after she had such a scandal with a married woman in the crew." The statement released by Hi E Entertainment couldn't even fool those die-hard fans, let alone those in the industry. Everyone knew what was going on in their hearts. However, they were still in the same production team, so it was not good to talk about others behind their backs. Thus, they maintained a harmonious appearance. However, under this harmonious atmosphere, how many people really looked up to these two people? Een Ji-hong was a person who could not tolerate sand in his eyes. He vaguely remembered that when he first heard about this matter, he was quite sympathetic to Ding Juexi's first wife. He was extremely disgusted by this cheating scumbag and his mistress. Who would have thought that after only a few days, he would inexplicably have a good impression of Wen Jingping as if he was possessed? His reason clearly told him to stay away from this woman, but there was a voice that kept echoing in his mind, asking him to help her, pamper her, and love her. Now that he thought about it, Een Ji-hong felt his hair stand on end. It was as if his body had suddenly been controlled by someone else. It was simply terrifying. Mrs. Een firmly believed her son's words. She boasted that she knew her son's temperament very well. Previously, she was busy dealing with the conflict between father and son, so she didn't think too much about it. Now that her son mentioned it, she couldn't help but think about it. Could it be that you bumped into something unclean? Or did that woman feed you something strange? Chapter 1053. If Een Ji-hong knew what was going on, he wouldn't be so depressed. "I'm not sure either. I clearly hated her back then and was very careful to keep a distance from her. But she would always take the initiative to come to me from time to time. Sometimes, she would even touch me intentionally or unintentionally. Mrs. Yin's face darkened when she heard this. She took the initiative to approach him and even touched him physically. This woman's thoughts were as clear as day. What a shameless vixen. Later, after some contact, it seemed like Yin Jihong's face was livid and he couldn't continue. Whenever he thought of the intimate contact he had with Wen Jingping during this period of time, he couldn't help but feel nauseous. All right. If you don't want to talk about it, then don't. Mom knows. It must be that woman's doing. Don't worry. Mom will avenge you. I won't let that woman have an easy time. Compared to Mrs. Yin's heartache, Mr. Yin was more rational. He looked at his son suspiciously and doubted his words. You've really thought it through and come to your senses? You didn't lie to us on purpose so that I'll let you go and run to that woman? The corner of Yin Jihong's mouth twitched. He realized for the first time that his father had such a rich imagination. Dad, don't worry. There's nothing wrong with your son's eyes. Why would he fall for a woman who seduces men everywhere? Is he worried that he's not cuckolded enough? Mr. Yin snorted and mocked him mercilessly. That's not what you said 2 days ago. I already said that it wasn't me. Mr. Yin snorted. He was still a little upset about his son's actions during this period of time. But since his son had already said this, it was obvious that he had indeed thought it through. Thinking of what he had just said, his eyes narrowed dangerously. He had more or less done some business in the past few years. As a businessman, even if they weren't superstitious, they mostly believed in the word luck. Previously, he had been blinded by his son's belated rebellion. Now that he thought about it carefully, he also felt that this strange woman who had appeared out of nowhere was a little strange. Immediately, his face darkened and he said, Since you've thought it through, you'd better behave during this period of time. Don't contact this woman again. This time, he was so infatuated that he even dared to talk back to me and your mother. Next time, he might even hit me and your mother. Tomorrow, I'll find a master to see if this woman is a human or a ghost. If she's a human, we'll catch her. If she's a ghost, we'll catch her. We can't just let this go. Yin Jihong opened his mouth, but he knew that his father's concern was not wrong. If Wen Jingping really used some underhanded means, who knew if there would be any repercussions if he fell for it so secretly? It was best to leave this matter to his father, but... Dad, you be careful too. If you don't teach him a lesson, you might end up falling into his trap as well. That would be a big loss. You little brat. Do you think your father is like you? You're so young that you can't find your bearings after being coaxed by others? Don't worry. I know what to do. Yin Jihong's face darkened. He wanted to refute with a few words to prove himself, but when he thought of all the ridiculous things that had happened during this period of time, he suddenly lost his confidence. His disgust and dissatisfaction with Wen Jingping also reached its peak at this moment. The more he doted on this woman and listened to her words in the past, the more he disliked and rejected her now. Chapter 1054. It was impossible for them to meet again, but he couldn't take this lying down, unless someone's reputation was ruined. What everyone didn't know was that the moment Yin Jihong woke up, the culprit, Wen Jingping, also felt a chill down her spine. The uneasiness in her heart reached its peak. As the male lead, Yin Jihong couldn't leave the set for too long during filming. However, this drama had been filming for a long time. When Yin Jihong was brought home by his father, he didn't have many scenes left. In addition, the Li family was one of the investors of this drama, and the Yin and Li families were close. Even the director couldn't stop the elders from teaching their children a lesson. Thus, they put Yin Jihong's remaining scenes at the end and filmed the others first. There were always more solutions than problems. Although Yin Jihong's departure disrupted the original filming plan, it didn't affect it much. After some adjustments, the original order was quickly restored. The only one who panicked was Wen Jingping. When Yin Jihong first asked for leave, she didn't realize the severity of the situation. She only thought that he had something to do at home and would be back in 2 days. In the end, Yin Jihong didn't come back in 2 days. Instead, she was asked to leave by the assistant director of the production team. Of course, it was Father Yin who asked the director to leave. Yin Jihong was fine. It was normal for male leads to hang around the set every day. This woman was just a guest actress in the drama. Her scenes were completed in less than half a month. Yet she refused to leave. It was obvious that she had ulterior motives. Wen Jingping was in disbelief when she was chased away. She hinted to the assistant director that she was Yin Jihong's woman. If the production team chased her away while Yin Jihong was away, it would be hard to explain when Yin Jihong came back. The assistant director couldn't help but laugh. I know Miss Wen is young Master Yin's woman, but the person who asked you to leave the set is President Yin. We're in a difficult position. Miss Wen is a smart person. You should understand our difficulties. Don't make it difficult for us. Wen Jingping froze and her expression changed. President Yin? Which President Yin? How many other President Yins can there be? Of course, it's young Master Yin's father. Wen Jingping's heart skipped a beat. She finally sensed a trace of danger. Why would President Yin? Why would he contact us over such a small matter and interfere with our small production team's matters? The assistant director looked at Wen Jingping with a smile, but there was a trace of contempt and disdain in his eyes. You'll have to ask Miss Wen herself. You're asking me? Wen Jingping's expression froze slightly, and she subconsciously avoided his gaze. How would I know? Miss Su, do you know why young Master Yin's not coming to the set these few days? Why? Young Master Yin's hands, young master's mother's young master's father's young Master Yin's? Now, it's President Yin who's asking you to leave through us. If you leave obediently, you can still save yourself some face. Otherwise, when President Yin does it himself, you'll be the one at a disadvantage. The assistant director's meaning was clear. You're indeed Yin Jihong's woman, but no matter how powerful Yin Jihong is, he's still President Yin's son. The person who wanted to chase her away was President Yin. Yin Jihong couldn't even protect himself. How could he protect a small shrimp like her? The production team was still asking her to leave. If she didn't know what was good for her, she would be chased out tomorrow. Chapter 1055. Wen Jingping's face turned green and white. In the end, she didn't dare to go against these people. She pursed her lips and nodded unwillingly. Since she had already left the production team, Wen Jingping naturally couldn't continue to stay in the hotel provided by the production team. The accommodation that Dou Tianyi had provided for her had been rejected by Li Yu after she hooked up with Ding Juesi and entered the current production team. She definitely couldn't go back. Helpless, Wen Jingping could only rent a shabby single room outside with her remaining savings. Just as she settled down in this shabby little house that was unpleasant to the eye, Wen Jingping received another call. Not long ago, she had asked Yin Jihong to help her with a small endorsement deal, but it was gone. After that, a TV series where she had relied on Yin Jihong's relationship to get the role of the sixth female lead also called her. They politely told her that they had found a more suitable actress and regretted that they couldn't work with her. Of course, this was just an excuse. Wen Jingping finally understood the meaning of the assistant director's words. Yin Jihong had been caught by his father and couldn't even protect himself. After his father dealt with him, the next person to be dealt with would be her. What she had to face now was not only that her career, which had finally improved by relying on Yin Jihong, would once again enter a cold winter. It was also very likely that she would be blacklisted by the Yin family and face further suppression. Thinking of this, Wen Jingping's hands couldn't help trembling. She was afraid and angry. She wanted to smash things to vent her anger, but she also knew that if she smashed things, she would really have to live on the streets. In extreme anger, she decisively vented her anger on the system. Didn't you say that Yin Jihong was very favored at home and that as long as I got rid of him, it would be equivalent to getting rid of the Yin family? What's going on now? He's been locked up. Although the system was also very surprised that things would take such a sudden turn and suddenly go out of control, it still did its job to answer Wen Jingping's doubts. After testing, after the scandal between the host and Ding Juesi was exposed, the public's favorability decreased by 20%. Before this, Wen Jingping had a certain fan base. Most of these fans came from her previous live broadcast audience on Konami. It was a pity that a portion of the audience had already been washed away by the Demon Empress that she had participated in before. After that, her entertainment debut suffered a setback and she was unable to successfully form a group. Onlookers kicked her when she was down. They quickly terminated her contract on the grounds that her actions had a bad impact and brought a negative image to the platform. Not only did they not pay her a single cent for the breach of contract, but they also made her pay a sum of money. They squeezed out most of the money that she had painstakingly saved during this period of time. Without the support of the platform, Wen Jingping naturally couldn't do live broadcasts to attract fans like before. In addition, in the past 1 or 2 years, whenever she had the slightest inclination to clear her name, she would expose a bigger scandal. No matter how loyal her fans were, there wouldn't be many of them left after what she had done. Especially with the recent scandals about Wen Jingping's rumored partner being a married man, one could imagine the impact it had on her fans. The expression on Wen Jingping's face stiffened. It was rare for her to be smart enough to understand the meaning of the system's words. What do you mean? Are you blaming me for having a bad reputation and dragging Yin Jihong down? The system pretended to be dead and didn't respond, but the little program that was flying around in her mind was silently complaining. So you still have some self-awareness and know that you're dragging him down. I thought you were so stupid that you couldn't even see that. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.